Now over to Ms. Jasek, please, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Minister Champagne and the officials for being here today. I think you've made it very clear, actually, that in your opening remarks that protecting our researchers and institutions from foreign state actors that threaten our national security is your top priority. And I see you nodding, so you would clearly agree. So you have established a working group to develop national security guidelines. Now, we did hear at this committee some criticism about this working group, that in fact it was not consulting broadly enough. In fact, it failed to include domain experts who understand IP, national security, etc. Could you reassure for us who exactly is working on the security guidelines, because you've alluded to the fact that, in fact, it's been a very broad consultation. So could you, for the record, tell us exactly who is involved?
Well, thank you very much, Ms. Jasek, for the question, because, in fact, we've been working a lot. We've been working with the U15, and we've been working also with Universities Canada. But more than that, to answer to the colleagues before and some of the criticism, we have created what they call the Government of Canada and the Universities Working Group. Why? Because we want to make sure that what we put is something that would be fit for purpose, that we work collaboratively with universities, with experts, with intelligence agencies to make sure. And I would say we've consulted broadly. When you talk to universities presidents, when you're talking to association, they would say they welcome what we've done, because for the first time, despite what the Conservatives may say, for the first time in Canada's history, since 2021, now you have national security guidelines, something that the previous government failed to do. Now there is something. And this was a first in Canada. They should be applauding. They say, thanks God, someone has been doing something to make sure that we have a national security guidelines in Canada. And not only we did that, but to your point, we put $160 million to put a research security center. Why? Because the university said, Minister, help us. It's complex. It's very complex out there. We need resources. We need people. We said we're going to do that. And then this year we said we're going to have an enhanced security posture. It's going to apply to all the granting agencies. And we're going to come with lists to making sure that it's going to be easy for you, for the researchers, to be able to identify whether or not that's a partnership they should pursue. I would say if you look at the Five Eyes, which we're working with, and our colleagues around the world, they would tell you that Canada, with the framework we have, the list that we're going to be publishing, we're going to be best in class.
And could you just describe a little bit more about this Research Security Centre that is housed within Public Safety Canada? What exactly is their role? How do they assist universities in looking at grant applications? And have they been doing that? You referenced a number have been rejected. Was this a result of consultation with this Research Security Centre?
Well, there's three missions. The money that we've provided it's about 50 institutions around the country. It's around hiring personnel, getting the software needed, and making sure that they could have the proper cybersecurity infrastructure in place. So this is really about hands-on type of support, because, when we launched these guidelines, this was a pilot in Canada. This has not been done before. So what came out of it is that we need more tools, more resources to make sure that we can properly assess that. And I would say what we're going to be publishing soon, the list that are going to be following Annex A and B that you find in the guidelines, they're going to be more specific than that. These are going to be really, I would say, hands-on, to the question of the colleagues before. To draw these lists, it's fairly complex, because now you're going to identify by name institutions that people should be worried about if they were to engage in certain type of research. So that, in my view, is kind of best in class, because, like I said, research security is top of mind, because one of the key assets we have in Canada is, like I said, our knowledge, our data set, and our IP. And I think the framework that we've put, starting with the security guidelines we put, is really kind of the umbrella, and then we're declining that with very specific tools to help institutions in the country.
And will the lists be informed by the fact that certain grant applications were refused? Will there be an assessment of what the proposal was, and if it was affiliated with a foreign institution, will that lead to, in fact, composing the list? I mean, that information
Sure.
could be very, very useful.
Totally,
presumably.
and that's why the criticism that was done before, I think I'll defend the security agencies and I'll defend the civil service. They've been doing extremely diligent work. I would say to colleagues, be careful of criticizing people who are doing extremely complex work for having been aware of some of the work. Even our Five Eyes partner would say it's very complex as you do that, because you want to capture the right entity, you want to capture to make it as current as possible.
Okay.
And this is very detailed work, but I think it's going to be welcomed by institutions and researchers in our country.
Great, thank you. Thank you both. And